Hey guys, what's up? Sorry if the volume's a little down. I guess cause the weather changed, my voice is kind of I don't know, it feels a little funny. Hey, my coworkers even thought I was sick, and I was like, I'm not sick. But so, if you can't hear me, I'm sorry, or if I'm talking too lightly or whatever, sorry. Um, but I wanted to talk to y'all about how to be able to identify what people lack. All right. So you can tell a lot about people. People who tend to, they tend to blame shift. Nothing's ever their fault. It's always everybody else's fault that's around them. These people lack accountability. They don't know how to just take it that, because they kept coming to work late over and over, and, because they were doing alcohol or some kind of drug or something, they start messing up at work and then they ended up fired. You know what I'm saying? Instead, they'll be like, oh, my coworkers, they was, plotting against me, and my boss this. No, it's really 100% your fault. You need to be accountable for your actions. When people lack, emotional intelligence, these are the people that love to try to tell you you're sensitive. They do some foul shit to you or say something foul. Like they cross a line by saying, oh, fuck your dead mama, for example. Everybody, I think, would get heated behind that and want to fight. I think that's a line that's drawn for everybody. All right. You should never talk about anybody's dead anything. People cross lines all the time. And not to mention, they don't think about spiritual ramifications behind when they speak on the dead. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it's not your people. For example, if a person talks about their ancestors, their grandma, their grandparents, or their parents, that's for them to talk about because they're from that bloodline. But for you to not be from that bloodline, you talking shit, watch yourself. I just want to throw that out there. Watch yourself. But, then, they say something foul like that and they cross that line and then they be like, you're sensitive. What you mean that person is sensitive? Their mother or whoever is passed away and you speaking foul on them, talking shady and crazy. You know what I'm saying? But that's what they do when they lack emotional intelligence. They always try to say that you're sensitive. Oh, I was just joking. Truth is always in jokes. Ain't nothing funny about it. Cause I'm not laughing, you ain't laughing. So what the fuck is funny? So, anyways, you can tell when people, what else? Oh, you can tell when they just lack, say for instance, self-esteem, right? Because it doesn't matter how you try to compliment them or, when they go and tell themselves, this is why negative self-talk is not good. And people should always speak positively about themselves. And if there's things about yourself that you don't like, you and only you got the power to change it. Ain't nobody gonna come along and just zap your weight off of you. No, you need to go and eat right. You need to go and exercise. You need to do what you're supposed to do to get the results that you want. This is consistency. And a lot of people be inconsistent. A lot of people project also because when people project onto you things that are not true, you know that the things that they say aren't true. Like, for example, somebody come up to you and be like, well, that's why you broke. But you know that you got money saved up and stacked up, or you know that that's just not true, right? You probably come from, say, a better family than they do or whatever, right? So at the end of the day, you know that this is not true. But they're speaking and projecting because they feel a way. They feel a lack of wealth or money, or, they feel a type of way. So they want to project their reality onto you. They're the broke ones trying to look like they something, you know what I'm saying? And the people who actually got it have nothing to prove because the proof is in the pudding. You know what I'm saying? So, just try not to take it personal. You know what I'm saying? And I know it's hard because people will be coming at you and they be saying some wild stuff and you be like, what? Like for example, when people say something to try to make you mad, right? Pause before. This is why it says be slow to wrath or be slow to anger. Because if you just sit there and you use your emotional intelligence, you can actually see that through their anger, they're actually hurting. This is a hurt individual. Their feelings is hurt. They have some type of emotional or mental scars or, something spiritual is going on. Something's going on with this individual. And, because people, when they feel powerless, like at home, this is when they come out into the world where you meet them, say at the grocery store, gas station, school, work, wherever you meet these individuals. And then this is where they come trying to be bullies and stuff like that. They want to feel powerful because at home they're powerless, right? I'm just giving y'all a little psychology into people. Get the hell away from the goddamn fucking shit. Goddamn cat rubbing on this damn shit and probably gonna knock it over. I'm sorry. I don't know why. Get out. Sorry, I threw my shoe over there so that they'll get the hell up out the room. And stop interrupting me by rubbing on this dang on stand and then mess around and knock it over. Cause they wasn't bothering me until I came in here and I started talking to y'all. Then here they come. Nah, take your butt on somewhere. Briefly. So, what was I talking about? Oh, people, I'm giving y'all some psychology about people. You know what I'm saying? Everything is not always what it seems, basically. You know what I'm saying? You can tell when someone lacks honesty because they start trying to narrate the truth to fit their narrative. You know what I'm saying? They start trying to spin things to fit their narrative. You can also tell when someone lacks integrity because they start trying to spin and justify their wrongdoings. Everybody knows wrong and everybody knows right. So at the end of the day, this individual just, have y'all ever had somebody you having a conversation with them? They claim that they're Christian and all this, right? But if you're a Christian, you wouldn't be doing X, Y, Z, right? So these people will be like, oh, well, I want to do da, 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 da. But you stand on an honest and, integrity point. You have a moral compass. And this individual will keep on trying to be like, I want to do this. And it's like, you have free will. If you want to go do that, go do it. You know what I'm saying? But then they keep on being like, well, see, that's a lukewarm individual. Lukewarm people are the most dangerous people mentally because these individuals, they have no footing. They go where the wind blows. These are the type of people that they try to act like, oh, I got your back. I'm going to be in the corner. But as soon as that doesn't work out for them or it doesn't benefit them or, they don't get no gain out of it, shoot, they'll switch up real fast. That's why I say lukewarm people are the most dangerous people. Like Judas, for example. Judas betrayed Jesus because he was a lukewarm individual. Money meant more to him than his so-called love for Jesus. I mean, he went so far as to kiss Jesus and point him out to the people that want to take him out. Even though Jesus knew all of this and he let it happen, point is, Judas felt like shit later because what'd he do? Commit suicide. Took himself out, right? But that's a karmic consequence because he knew what he was doing because he didn't have to take that, but it was a choice. All choices have consequences and people really don't be understanding or they really just don't have foresight to see that, oh, if I do option A, what's going to be the good and bad outcome of this? If I do option B, no, they're impulsive. They're emotional. When emotions are high, logic is low. So you ain't taking time to think about it. You just moving on temporary emotions. And then out of temporary emotions, you done said some foul stuff, did some foul stuff. And the sad part about that is once you say foul things to somebody or you do something foul to somebody, you have no say on if they forgive you, when they forgive you, and when they heal, if they ever do, you know what I'm saying? You have no say. So who are you to think that they're supposed to give you a second, third, fourth, fifth chance? And who are you to think that, oh, you ain't over that yet? No, they are not over that yet. And they have all the time in the world to process their emotions, to build upon themselves. And unfortunately, people who are like that, these are the people who, I don't want to say they end up necessarily lonely, but like basically, you know what I'm saying? Like they push everybody away that ends up loving them, helping them, caring for them, showing them affection, attention, energy, giving them time, helping them financially, whatever it is. These individuals eventually push people away. Now, I don't know, maybe it's a self-defense mechanism that they have where it's like, I'm gonna get you before you get me, but whole time you wasn't gonna get them. You know, kind of like Madea. Well, I'm gonna get them before they get me because motherfucker gotta get got. Like, or whatever that whatever she had said to what was his name? Not Maury. I can't think of that man's name. But he was on like Saw with Shaq. Dr. Phil, that's his name. Yeah, which when Madea was talking to Dr. Phil, talking about some, I got to get them before they get me, because if you get me, you gonna get got. Like, you know what I'm saying? But they have that mindset. And it's like, that's not a good mindset to have, because not everybody got bad intentions out here. This is why discernment is very key. If you got discernment, you can pick out who's moving what way and how they moving and what they doing. All right. But like when people, you know, lack certain things, you can just see it, you know, because watch how they move. You know what I'm saying? Like a person who lacks communication skills, they love to be like, why are you arguing? You ain't even arguing. You stating facts. You know, if they slap somebody and then that person punched them in the face back, they can't be playing victim like, oh my God, I didn't do nothing. They hit me in my face. No, I clear as day with my natural eyes, I saw you slap them and they punched you back. Rightfully so, because everybody in pre-K learned. Keep your hands to yourself. And if you don't keep your hands to yourself, what happens, happens. If you ain't ready for somebody to hit you, why you hitting people? You don't want somebody kicking you, why you kicking people? You know what I'm saying? Because there's no such thing as a fair fight when you fighting somebody in the streets. You gon' do whatever. Because I know for me, let it be a big chick. I'm going to punch her in her clit. I'm going to punch the shit out of her in her titty. I'm going to punch you. I'm going to hit you in a weak spot, baby. Trust me. Pop you in the fucking knee. Hit the ankle. I'm going to bring you down to my level. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there ain't no such thing as fight clean. No. You want to talk reckless. You can't be mad when somebody get reckless with their hands. I'm just saying. So I just think people just really need to be more responsible. And see, that's the thing. You can tell somebody that like lacks responsibility because they don't ever do what they're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, people have certain perceptions of themselves that doesn't meet reality standards. Oh, well, I'm going to do this. And then time goes by, they never do what they say they're going to do. And then these people will be upset when you label them as a liar. And it's like, well, how are you not lying? You said you was going to do this It's been a year. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, you know, somebody say that they gonna wash the dishes. Does it take weeks and months to wash the dishes? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, nah. But that's a lack of responsibility. You know what I'm saying? Some people just, their capacities be lacking. They be slacking. You know what I'm saying? And it just is what it is. But that's a part of self-development. You know, some people feel like, oh, you stepping on my toes and why are you talking about me? If the shoe fits, laces up and walk in them shoes. You know what I'm saying? The most you can do is be a better you, a better version of yourself right now than what you was yesterday, last week, last month, last year, 10 years ago. You know, we're not in competition with nobody. This is how you can tell, like, when people be in competition, because it's like, you know, people be in competition with you, and it's like, you're not even in competition, so you're not aware of this. But whole time, how you in competition with somebody that doesn't know you're in competition with them, and you still losing? Like, really? Slow. This is what I mean. Like, people be really just lacking, like for example, you can tell when somebody lacks self-awareness because they will talk about Henry down the street. Yeah, Henry down the street, you know, is XYZ and this, that, and the third. And then you be looking at them like, you know, you described yourself, right? Like, how are you doing the same things as Henry down the street, but you talking smack about Henry, but nobody's supposed to correct you, address you, or talk smack about you? Like, make it make sense. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, I wasn't trying to make this video too long, but just pay attention to what people lack. You know what I'm saying? All you gotta do is watch their actions. And like when people lack consistency, you can easily see the inconsistency. The words don't match the actions don't match the words. And the most important thing to pay attention to is actions. Because when people got the gift of gab, when they got a smooth tongue, when they know how to say the right things, they're charismatic and suave, and you know, that mouth, they get the mouthpiece in and all of that. Don't listen to what people say. Over time, actions reveal whether they meant the words that they say or whether they just be saying stuff to be saying stuff. Because sometimes people say stuff and then they be like, oh, I didn't mean to say that. So how is it possible that you just say stuff and you didn't think about what you said? You just said it. You know what I'm saying? There was like zero thought process, you know? And then when you point out the logic behind it and you be like, break that down to me because it makes sense to you and it's not making sense to me. Make it make sense to me. When they cannot make something make sense to you, that's because it's illogical, it's nonsense, and it's irrational as hell because that person just likes to hear themselves talk. How do you think some people, have you ever dealt with somebody where they talking to you, but it's not a conversation? A conversation is like a ping pong or a tennis match. It's back and forth, back and forth. You listening, you answering, they asking questions, you answering, you asking questions, they answer. It's back and forth. But have you ever talked to somebody who be monologuing? They just talk and talk and talk. You can't get a breath or a word in. Like, this just gives you a little bit of insight into like the mind of people and the emotions of people. So do not take things personally. All right, peace. Positive energy always creates elevation. I'm out until the next video. Like, share, subscribe.